fighting against factions with a lot of archer fire. They're terrible in close combat, but that regeneration really helps them to kind of sustain in combat. So I'm going to go over kind of skirmish tactics, and really you never want to go more than four skirmish cav. More than 4 skirmish cav, and you've just gone full. No, never go full. So let's go over my my army of what I'm doing and why I'm thinking about it. So here I have a center of just black orcs. And then on my flanks, I have this orc biggins, and then some rusty arrows and some regular night goblin. Want them for the poison. And then I have for my skirmish cav, I have this wolf rider archers who are upgraded with my little extra points. Way in the back there, you can see I have some goblin wolf riders hiding. I have forest goblin spider rider archers because that extra poison is always useful in combat. Warhammer mage and marauders. Normally against the wood elves, you don't really need it, but just in case he brought treatment, I went ahead and grabbed that. And then the death creepers and 2 units of night goblins who are trained really well with the wood elves. So he's going to find that. I have the big orc boy biggins with a war boss on a boar, and I have them over here just in case my opponent was going to have some wild riders, but they will join the battle quickly. So my opponent has 4 units of blade guard without shields, 3 units of war dancers, a forest dragon, which I don't think you need against the greenskins. I think you can get away with an eagle. Thurthu, some treekin, and some blade guard. So let's go ahead and start the battle. So I'm going to use my skirmish cav, and I'm just going to harass him. I'm just going to move around the battlefield. Anywhere if I find a weakness, I'm going to go ahead and attack. So over here, I saw his archers, but I did not see his treatment. So I send in the goblins, and since they're only 300 points, if they can manage to kill half of a unit, they have paid for themselves. I don't think they even they haven't even got 1 model yet. Meanwhile, over here, since I saw that he has no range, I just went ahead. I'm just going to put my night goblins just right in front as the rest of my army advances. And this is one mistake I made right here. As I'm all clumped up, it would have been better for me to just go 1, 2, 3, and 4 and have them spread out because they're blocking each other's shots. My opponent comes down here with the forest dragon, which, I don't know, I guess it's not really a dangerous threat to him right now. But he starts to pull out, and this is where he makes mistakes. So he comes in after my skirmish cavalry, and you're going to see, I think I popped Gork will fix it. So now you can see he's poisoned and he's slowed down. So his speed is 47%, and that dragon is about to have a bad day. So we're going to catch him right there, and all that skirmisher fire is just going to keep at him. The night goblins I like to use because they do have the silver shields, so any of the wood elf archers are just going to kind of be nothing to them. Meanwhile, my flanks are starting to move out there, starting to harass. I do think my opponent is using the Earth Blood from his Lore of Life, but you can see that skirmish cav just wrecked that forest dragon, got him down to half life as he just ran away from the black orcs and everyone else. So good job there. That poison was able to kind of put him in position. However, I am a little blobbed up here, so you can see I'm going to reform my battle lines now that his archers are there. And once again, I'm going to drop this, what is this? What's the spell called? The darkness spell. There you go. Night Shroud. That's the spell I'm looking for. So I thought he was going to sit there and try to skirmish me, but his accuracy is reduced. So he's not going to be able to focus too much on me. And since I saw that his threats were there, I'm going to take my skirmish cav and I'm going to come up and around. I'm going to start harassing him. And this is the front line engagement I want. He doesn't really have much that can go toe-to-toe with me. His war dancers will do okay. They won't really be able to push out the black orcs because they're high armor. And then I'm just saving my war boss and my orc biggins just to wait for anything to let loose. So over here, you see Thurthu and the treekin. So that's going to be exactly where I'm going to send them in. That's exactly where I want. The rusty airs and the night goblins are going to start poisoning down Thurthu. So Thurthu's down to about, let's look. He's 440, but he's boosting himself. But I am getting him, and we're going to take him down. Meanwhile, back here, you see my skirmish cav just harassing, just be of a general annoyance. Mainly, I'm just trying to use them to take his micromanagement away so I can kind of start picking at things. So you just look for available targets. The forest dragon is going to come down, and that's 2,000 points. That forest dragon is worth the same as everyone here. And honestly, I think I'm going to win that engagement. Meanwhile, up and over here, you can just see the boys getting at it, just cutting them down. So let's see the kills. So the black orcs are at 42 versus the Eternal Guards 12. 32 for the big uns. Let's see, other big uns at 12. The Night Goblins, they managed to get in here. They get 5. They got 5 kills. The other biggins, they're fighting the bigger troops, but that's okay. So I fall back. I use the potion of toughness on me. I'm trying to find a little, slightly easier of a target, but I'm just going to go ahead and let my archers whittle down Durthu, and I'm going to take my Cav, because there's just no point in this being blobbed up here. I'm not going to be able to get a full engagement. So let's take the Cav and swing them up and around, and I can keep using my harassment over here. And you can see that my harassment has managed to get these treekin down to almost 50%, and the forest dragon is down to almost 50%. Meanwhile, my little goblin night shaman just casting spells, doing his little thing, just going to town. And I am kind of blobbed up here, so good on my opponent for popping that Flock of Doom. But I think I'm going to win out on this engagement because I am just whittling down Durthu. My opponent takes that dragon, he's going to scare off the rusty arrows, and I think I'm just pretty much going to ignore most of what he's doing there because I've taken out his real threat, which is Durthu, and that's what I needed the rusty arrows for. The treekin I could also use the rusty arrows, but that's okay. So meanwhile over here, you can see my push with my orc boar biggins have completely shattered the treekin. I'm bringing back my skirmish cav because I can move back and forth where I need to go, and I just want to poison him down. I want to poison down that forest dragon. I don't know why I cast Night Shroud. I probably cast Night Shroud on the Glade Guard and the dragon having to be in the spot. That makes more sense. So you can see that skirmish cav getting back on that forest dragon. The forest dragon does have 70 armor, so he's a little hefty. But we've got him down to 25%, and we're just going to start sending everything else after him as soon as we get the opportunity. Over here, you can see my black orcs starting to hammer down these trees, and they're doing a great job for themselves. 89 kills. I went ahead and threw the Night Goblin Shaman into combat, not because the Goblin's any good, but just I wanted him to be with the Biggins and the Night Goblins to force off that Forest Dragon. The Forest Dragon could easily pick off my Night Goblin. So now I'm using my Skirmish Cav, finding holes. Over here, I finally managed to knock off these Treekin, and I'm going to send my War Boss over here to take out Durthu, and using my Orc Biggins to try to finish things off. My opponent wisely takes the Forest Dragon away from my Archer Fire. He's going to come down here and start working on my War Boss. So my War Boss is really going to need to get out of there. Even though this dragon has 140 hit points left, you can just see that they just dumpster this War Boss. So I send in my boys to try to rescue him, but they're just coming straight at him. This giant monarch butterfly of a dragon. Over here, you can see I've wrapped up this fight, and now we're starting to push forward. It's kind of a blob. It's going to take me a second to get everything up and running again. And you can see the the Death Creepers basically have taken no damage from that regeneration effect of you, and they haven't even lost the model, so they're staying at pretty much top efficiency the entire fight. So I always recommend if you're going to play something you think is going to go real missile heavy, definitely take the Death Creepers. They are definitely worth it. If you're fighting Chaos, don't bother. They're just not worth it if you're playing competitively. They are slightly more accurate. Over here, you can see my opponent has pushed my War Boss off, but luckily I had the little Night Goblin Shaman just running along helping things out. And his army is kind of in a full retreat, so we're just going to fast forward a little bit. And I'm just using my Death Creepers and Spider Goblins. I put them on melee mode, and I'm just going to use them to push things off. So anytime your Skirmish Cav have an opportunity, you can just use them to run higher value units off the field. So I highly recommend that, like the little Goblin Wolf Riders, who I think are still around. Oh, here they are. They're over here somewhere. The more Major Marauders. See, I'm just trying to pepper, because even if you do ranged attacks, it will keep the leadership down, and you can force things off the field, because I really want to get this Lore of Life off the field, because Durthu still has some life left. I'm going to send in my other Forest Goblins to force Durthu off the field, send in Mangy Marauders onto the Witch, the Spellsinger. So let's take a quick look here and see how we did. So that's kind of one use of the Skirmish Cav. You saw I kept dodging back and forth, moving around. For kills, not bad, because consider a lot of their fire was at the Forest Dragon. It definitely a great job out of the Night Goblins and the Rusty Arrows. They're really what whittled away Durthu. Durthu just did not want any of that hot action. The one Black Orc unit was able to tank it out. The War Dancers just don't have the killing power to get through him. And then the Night Goblin's doing okay. For my opponent, I think what he could have done, he could have dropped the Forest Dragon, picked up a Great Eagle. It would have had the same benefit without all the extra costs. He doesn't need the armor piercing versus the Orc. Very few Orc units have that armor piercing. I think he could have dropped one War Dancer and then used that to kind of buy elsewhere. I'm not sure exactly what I would have gone. I would have dropped the Spellsinger of Life, grabbed the Brain Wraith with Earthblood, and then had that little combo if I was going to run the Durthu build. And then maybe this group of some sort of skirmish cav. I feel like he's had a real static Wood Elf army. So let's go ahead and jump into the second battle for our skirmish cav. All right, and we're into game 3 here. So my opponent was watching Turin's videos, and he saw the Turin's recommendation versus Greenstone. He made a few changes, but kind of kept the spirit of Turin's list here. So he wanted to try it out. I told him, all right, I'll take my typical Orc force, and we'll see how it does. So here we go. I want more Mage Marauders, the Spore Spot Riders. I do think that this army is lacking Warhounds, which it really needs to kind of force off the skirmish cav. And also, I like to bring Marauders, Horsemen Marauders when I play Chaos, just because it allows for some mobility. Because right now, he really doesn't have too much. Yes, his speed of his Shaggoths just isn't fast enough to catch me, so I don't have to worry about any of that. So I can kind of dictate the pace of the battle. My buddy here, he is ranked, I think, 40 on the leaderboard. He doesn't play Chaos, so this might be like his first Chaos games. So you can see the list here. So he has the great Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Oh, you do see a big old storm coming. I saw it. Oh, no, I thought a storm was coming, so I run. It's actually Fate of Buna. He hasted Mage Marauders and thought he needed to get them off the table. Over here, so you can see our list. I can have Blackworks, Biggins, Savage Orc Biggins, Arrows, a little sneaky guy in the back, and then the Broken Tooth Mob, because they have 90 armor, and I didn't want some Forsaken getting a hold of them and smashing them. Meanwhile, he has a little too aggressive, in my opinion, so this has left his Chaos Sorcerer just a little too exposed, and Agzog's just going to come down and put a big old hit on him. As soon as I see that he's coming, I'm going to take Agzog, and we're going to go to the sky. Meanwhile, over here, I collapse my Biggins into Kolek, and I'm going to take my Blackworks, and I'm going to shift them back away from Kolek, and I'm going to use the other Blackworks over here to engage on his Forsaken, because that's just kind of an easy kill. If you can get your Blackworks on the Forsaken, that's going to be easy kill, and they can't really do anything to stop you. So you can see the Goblin and Archer Fire has already gotten Kolek almost down to half. Azog's back here. Anytime he leaves his Chaos Sorcerer alone, I'm just going to come in there and I'm going to pop him. I'm going to hit that Spirit Leech. I'm trying to get him off the board. And then over here, you see a big old storm coming in on my big old yellow orcs. We're going to start going to town. I think this is a bad match. I think the Orc Infantry matches up better than the Chaos Infantry. This is because the Orc Infantry has more utility. And you can see over here that while he is 2-on-1, he's going to 2-for-1 on me. I am going to be able to kind of tank this out so much and tie up all these resources as the rest of my forces get into position. Kolek's a little bit out of position for me to really do too much damage, so he's kind of over here. I have left this group of Blackworks back there because I was worried about this flanking force. And what you didn't see is I kept using these Blackworks, and I kept shifting them around, and this forced his Forsaken to go farther and farther out. Eventually, though, I decided I'm just going to have to come in here and fight. But then I noticed that his Forsaken were back, so I dropped them back in there. And these Goblins, really, at this point, they've done their damage, and this Dragon over Shaggoth is just going to go down. Over here, I've been using my Boar Boys to harass the Shaggoths. I'm trying to get them up onto Kolek. I popped the Wog there, and I'm trying to get this Sorcerer off the field. But as soon as I notice that he's coming for me, I'm going to pull through my own units and get on out of there. Meanwhile, you can see that the Blackworks over here, 71 kills, and it's just been working these two units, so really paying for themselves, paying some good dividends. But mainly the focus, look at these Archer Fire. So you can see that the Mage Marauders are up to 20 kills, but everywhere he goes, I'm able to move into better position. Anytime he comes for me, I'm in better position. The Goblin Forest Riders, I need to move them now, but before they were able just to pick down his Shaggoths and just able to keep them poisoned. Keep them poisoned, keep them on the run, and you'll be good. So Kolek's running off to the field. Over here, my opponent has finally won this engagement. He's gotten 30 kills. The Blackworks 92 and 24 on this Forsaken, so they've really paid for themselves. But it can still go either way. I think if I don't get this Chaos Sorcerer off the field, it's going to be hard for me. He is getting this Shag off, and you see that Shag off's putting a pretty big hurt every time he gets a hit. So 27, let's see if he gets one more hit in there. Nope. Looks like I'm able to get away. So something got me. I got dropped down to 25, but it wasn't the Shag off. Now that I'm out of ammunition, I take the Skirmish Cav, and it's anything that's running. So I'm going to take the Major Marauders, and let's make sure that Lord Death is out of there. And then once again, the Creepas, they're so fast that I'm able to get them over here. It would take much longer for these Night Goblin Archers to get over there. So I'm going to get the Forest Goblin Spider Riders, throw that shots down the Chaos Chariot, which is going to reduce their speed, and also reduces kind of their impact when they charge. And now their speed is down to 61. The Goblin Spider Riders will be able to get away. And I think he thought it was going to be an easy target, but Skirmish Cav was too good, and it's just tantalizingly close. I think I just turned around and attacked them just to pin them down for the other archers and to get Azog in there. Meanwhile, over here, he has managed to completely rout my poor group of Major Marauders on his Marauders with great weapons. And then we're just collapsing with all these biggins. He doesn't have anything really left to fight those biggins. And so it's going to really work out in my favor. Over here, you can see that with the help of Poison and Azog the Slaughter, everything's gotten routed off, and that's going to be all she wrote. All right, so let's take a little breakdown. And the next one I have is a Skirmish Cavalry with Bretonnia. And we're going to look at kind of how you can use Bretonnia for a bit. So let's look at our forces. These Jagoffs I don't think really paid for themselves. One got a little bit of damage in there. They did okay. I just don't think that this build has enough density to really do that much. Meanwhile, on my side, I think I did all right. Everything kind of just worked according to plan, so I don't have